President Biden announces another $800 million of military help for Ukraine in what he calls a critical phase of the war.
To modernize Teddy Roosevelt's famous advice, sometimes we will speak softly and carry a large javelin, because we're sending a lot of those in as well.
In Ukraine, President Zelensky insists Mariupol hasn't fallen to Russian forces, and a soldier in the city's besieged steel factory tells the BBC they remain defiant.
I always say that while we're here, Mariupol remains under control of Ukraine. Mariupol was and will stay Ukrainian, no matter what they say.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has rejected Russia's claims that the besieged port city of Mariupol has been captured.
The remaining Ukrainian fighters, as well as around 1,000 civilians, are currently trapped in a steelworks plant where they've been surrounded by Russian troops. Now, it comes as a Ukrainian official says Russian forces have seized more than 40 villages in the Donbass region as the Kremlin offensive in the east of Ukraine continues. Abby Smitten reports.
A city destroyed. Mariupol steelworks, the final base of the Ukrainian resistance. In its labyrinth of tunnels and bunkers, the last of the fighters remain.
We are under constant air bombing and fire of multiple rocket launchers and gun artillery. While we're here, Mariupol remains under control of Ukraine. Mariupol was and will stay Ukrainian, no matter what they say.
Around 2,000 people are still thought to be in the steelworks. It's believed at least half of them are civilians. Mariupol has been under near constant bombardment since the start of the Russian invasion. President Putin has claimed his forces have seized control of the city, ordering his soldiers to surround the Azovstal steel plants. But Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has refused to give in. In an address last night, he said the fight for the city was not over, that Russian forces wouldn't win.
They can only postpone the inevitable, the time when the invaders will have to leave our land, including Mariupol, the city that continues to resist Russia, regardless of what the occupiers say about this.
Ukrainian officials say Russian forces have continued to attack the eastern Donbass region. More than 40 villages have reportedly been seized. With the Orthodox Easter weekend approaching, there had been hopes that a ceasefire could be agreed, a moment of reprieve for millions. But President Zelensky says Russia has rejected the call for a truce.
This demonstrates very well how the leaders of this state actually feel about the faith, about one of the most joyful and important holidays. But we keep hope. Hope for peace, hope that life will conquer death.
What should have been a celebration for the millions of Orthodox Christians. Instead, this Sunday will mark 2 months of war, 2 months of fighting, destruction and loss. Abby Smitten, BBC News.
Now our reporter Joe Winwood is in Kyiv, who we can talk to now. Morning, Joe. Joe, there's this situation in Mariupol with the steelworks. There's also a broader situation in there, and isn't there? There's something that we've been hearing about, safe passage, safe corridors out. And there seems to be some dispute between Ukraine and Russia, obviously, when it comes to allowing safe passage on Easter Sunday.
Yeah, so safe passage is something we've heard about time and again it's failed to materialise. A couple of days ago there was supposed to be safe passage where 6,000 civilians would get out. In the end, just 4 busloads did. There was a call for safe passage today as well. We've seen no sign of that. And there are thousands of civilians, at least 1,000 we understand, trapped in the steelworks. There had been hope for a truce over the Easter weekend. Of course, the Orthodox faith is something that unites people both here in Ukraine and in Russia. The UN had called for something like that. The European Union had backed it up as well. And President Zelensky of Ukraine had asked for it. Now, he said in his nightly address yesterday that's something that had been rejected by the Russians, and therefore any hopes of a truce, any hopes of safe passage over the weekend, they seem fairly faint.
Indeed. And Joe, we're going to be talking to Vladimir Klitschko later, who's in Kyiv. And I think what we're going to do is get another sense of the defiance and the idea that whatever Russia is saying in terms of advances, as we've heard over recent weeks, and what it has captured, that Ukrainians still remain absolutely intent to retain independence.
Yeah, absolutely. And it seems yesterday, so Vladimir Putin said, we've taken the city of Mariupol, but then in another breath said, of course, the defenders remain there. He seems to be trying to declare victories without actually his forces achieving them. There have been some moves in the village of Popsna down in the Donbass, but really it seems the advances are quite minor. They are being stalled by this incredibly staunch Ukrainian resistance, and that's something you've seen indeed from Mayor Klitschko here in the city and across this country. A staunch resistance and a determination that whatever the Russians say, they will not achieve victory easily in this country.